Hey y'all. Okay, here's what happened. Last night during makeup playtime, I was playing with some new makeup that I'm testing for review. Some of it is stuff that my channel bought for me to review, and some of it is stuff that's come in PR. So I was playing with it, and the combination of it inspired me to a certain makeup look that I want to do. It's a little bit out of the box for me. I'll tell you about it after we move into the meat of the video. Needless to say, the stuff that I was working with made me envision this makeup. So I started trying to do the look on my face, and over the course of makeup playtime, I found myself reaching for my old familiar makeup to complete the look, to really bring the look alive, because the makeup that I was testing wasn't really working the way that I wanted for me to get the look that I wanted. And as I was doing it, I realized two things. One, I wanted to try to recreate the look that I was envisioning for you. And two, that my old makeup is better than the new makeup that I'm testing in a bunch of different, individual, interesting ways, and for the most part, across the board. So that's what this video is about. I'm gonna be showing you some of the new stuff, comparing it to some of my old makeup, talking about why I prefer the makeup that I already have in many cases, but I'll also be reviewing some of the new makeup, and I'll also be putting the look on for you. I think it's gonna be a party. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Hannah. I love beautiful things, I love makeup, and I also really love using what I already own. So I do test new things, but I always return to my old things. This video is kind of emblematic of what I do here. If that sounds good to you, I hope that you'll subscribe. Now let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. So first, let me tell you what the new makeup is, the stuff that I've been playing with and I'm gonna be talking about in this video. I have the new palettes from Alter Ego, the Canyon and Blooms palettes. This one is Canyon and this one is Blooms. They are very beautiful. They're obviously dupes for Natasha Denona palettes, but I don't own either of the Natasha Denona palettes that they're duping. So those came in PR. I also have some makeup that I purchased to do a self-sponsored review. It's makeup from the brand Jason Wu, which I remember talking about a couple of months ago when it first was being previewed on social media, and now it's released, it's in stores. Jason Wu has a website, and this makeup is also available at Target. A couple of these things I'm actually already wearing on my face. Of course, I got this brow stuff. It's called the Bush Brow Shaper Soap. It is, you know, a brow soap really similar to the Patrick Ta Major Brow. That's like the general idea. I use actual soap in my brows most of the time. That's been my preference this whole time. Spoiler alert, it will continue to be my preference even as I test this product and decide whether or not I'm going to keep it and use it up. But I used it to put my brows in place today, and it's fine. It's working. The jury's still out on it. This is only the second time that I've used it, but you know, in keeping with the theme of this video, both last night when I tried it and today when I was trying it, I felt like I would rather have been using my soap, which is just a bar of glycerin soap from Ortigia Sicilia. But I already put that on. I was worried about doing it on camera. It's a little bit fussy. It kind of takes a long time. I want to get to know it better before I really like bring you a demo or a review of that. And the other thing that I have on my face already is another Jason Wu product. It is the Everyday Lip Mask. I actually love this so far. This is to me the standout product of all of the ones that I purchased for review. It's just a really, really nourishing layer of like a balmy, milky moisture on the lips that is tenacious, and I really like that. Also for the lips, I have this lip liner and lipstick combo from Jason Wu. They're both in the shade Woo Me. It's the lightest, the palest shade, and I'm really interested in that kind of super pale lip right now. I was curious about how pale this would actually be on me because I felt like it was kind of hard to tell from the swatches on the website how light the colors or how dark the colors actually are. So the shade is Woo Me. This is the lip liner, and then this is like the souffle lip product, the like liquid whipped lip product. It's called Hot Fluff. And then this I think is supposed to be the star product of the range. It's the Hot Fluff product. It's supposed to be a stick, a multi-stick that works for eyes, cheeks, and lips. Spoiler alert, for eyes, absolutely not. I tried it last night and I really don't think that that is a thing. Like, they're kind of lying to you. But you know, it's possible to use it on the cheeks and lips, just like every cream product. It can be used on cheeks and lips. So I've got that. And then I got this highlighter, this cream highlighter. It's a highlighting stick. It's called Opal Stick, and it's like an iridescent shimmery blue highlighter. This The promise of this was kind of like what brought about the vision that I have for this look today. So a lot of what I'm gonna be doing revolves around like my expectations for this, what I thought it would do, what it failed to do, and then like me figuring out how to do that with something that I already own. So those are the products. And now let me tell you about the inspiration, the look, and how it unfolded. This is kind of like, I'm like telling you about it chronologically. It's kind of a story. So I started putting these on my face last night. I was like playing with all of them. Of these two alter ego palettes, Canyon is definitely the one that calls to me. I mean, I actually think it's so pretty. Like I didn't really desperately want, I did love the Natasha Denona bronze palette when it came out, but I didn't desperately want it. I do think that there's something about the combination of bronzes with these purples that's kind of brilliant. And I was inspired kind of in the abstract, but when I opened this and I beheld it and I saw what it really is like seeing the shadows gleam, seeing those sort of dusky purple, like slightly grungy purples paired with them, I was filled with a desire for the actual Natasha Denona palette. I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually me in a palette. It's like my dream, you know what I mean? So seeing this, having this color story in my hands has actually really inspired me. So I was playing with it and I did really love the look that I got on my eyes and the way that it worked with the other things that I wanted to do on my face. But playing with it made me want to full out dupe this palette with my singles, like completely dupe not only the vibes, but maybe probably just the vibes, but also kind of like a lot of the actual colors. And I am going to do that in a different video. I'm going to do it in an overhead video so you can see close up what I'm doing. And I have a feeling that I'm certain that I'm going to cherish my dupe palette more than I love this little thing. For today, I'm just gonna put this one on my face and kind of tell you about it, but the way in which the makeup that I already own is like coming out ahead of this new makeup that I'm testing. For this one, it's kind of still in the works. It's like a little bit in the abstract. I'm gonna prime my eyes while I'm telling you about the look. I'm actually using the Alter Ego lid primer. They did send me a new one, but I don't need it because I already have it, but it is already one of my favorites. I use it a lot. So the thing that really inspired me about this color story, the Canyon palette or the Natasha Denona bronze palette, is again, the combination of those shimmery bronzes with this kind of like purple idea, this dusky purple, deepening it with purple. So it sort of has like a sunset eye aspect to it, because I think going from purple through to bronze and then kind of like through to a red, possibly like a red or a pink, the blend of those all together is a very sunset makeup look. The way that basically going from purple to red, but going through other colors to get there is a very like sunset spread, watercolory sunset kind of color idea or color story. So I started building a look like that on my lids, and that's what I'll be doing for you. But then when I got to the cheeks, I was mixing together these two colors. So the Honey Fluff in Biscotti is kind of like a ruddy reddish, almost like a terracotta brown. That's what I was using as a blush. And then the Opal Stick is like an iridescent, very, very blue product. I wasn't expecting it to be as blue as it is, but I'll show you. Look at that. Do you see how incredible, it's like a very blue, ostentatiously blue reflect. So to me, there's something about these two shades together, the Honey Fluff bronzy and the very bright white blue reflect of the cream highlight, that's kind of like a cheek version of this, because it's, you know, the same tones that are in it, that blue and that bronze. So it was like, is there such a thing as a sunset cheek? Like, can you have that kind of like purpley blue through to ruddy on your cheeks and have it like kind of be even remotely normal looking or okay? And that's what I wanted to do. And I started blending these two together on my cheeks and like making a cheek color of it. And I started really, really loving it and really loving the way that it worked with my eyes, but it just wasn't enough. The product it was too silicone-y. It was like blending away. I wasn't getting the intensity that I wanted. And that was when I started dipping into other makeup that I already owned. So let's go ahead and get into the look. I don't want to just talk at the beginning without doing anything. And as I move through it, I'll continue on reviewing like the lip products and talking about what I ended up doing on my cheeks and lips and all of that stuff. But first, let's just get caught up on my face with what I was just telling you about. And you know, I'm actually gonna put my hair up to kind of get it out of the way. I feel like a lot of what happens in this look goes like from the cheeks around the eyes in a crescent, and I want a little bit of like more space around my face to do that. So I'm gonna start by putting this kind of like light bronze all over the center of my lids and then blending it out a little bit with this kind of like light orange color up you know, closer to my brows, just like a general base for a look like I often do. And again, I mean, I'm not saying that this palette is garbage and then as soon as I started using it, I was like, I wish I was using my singles or something like that. It's just, I just feel more excited about, it's like if I'm gonna have a dupe for this Natasha Denona palette, if I'm gonna have this color story but not have the Natasha Denona palette, I feel more excited about having one that I made myself out of singles than I do about having this. But for the time being, I'm using this, I'm demonstrating it so that you guys can see, because I know that a lot of you are interested in it. The quality is, you know, really good. Like I really like their formula. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that Alter Ego also sent me their brushes, which are actually really pretty. Like, you know, I rarely keep brushes that were sent to me in PR because I love my rephr brushes so much. And indeed, when I was playing around with these last night, I was like, they're good, but not great. The ones that I already have are great. The rephr brushes are really great. But especially for synthetic brushes, they're very, very good. And I really like the way that they look. So I am gonna be using them today as I was last night. They blend pretty well. They're very soft. I like the shapes. They just don't pick up product with the same aggressive joy that the fibers of the rephr brushes do when you use them. So I'm blending out again with that matte. So this is what I did as I was playing last night. I was bringing this matte kind of close to my brows, but not quite closing the gap. And then I was kind of wishing that I could put down something blue and iridescent like Opal, the highlighter, but I didn't want to go in with a cream highlight on top of powder. So I found a solution for it and we will be circling back to that. The eye look is not completely, like that part of the eye look isn't completely complete right now. So that's kind of like the base at the center and sort of the blend. And then, and this is like what I love about this color story so much, this deep smoky purple as the outer corner color. I just love that. So I'm taking this, again, it's like a cute shape. It's sort of like a fluffy, like a fat, squinched, domed brush. It's perfectly lovely. I'm gonna use it to smoke out the outer corner and put a little bit on my lower lash line. And again, I think it's actually important to find this middle space, right? I'm not saying that these brushes are absolute garbage. And I think that a lot of times on YouTube, what happens is people are either like, it's absolute garbage, or they're like, you've gotta have it. Like, it's so amazing. It's so great. You've got to have it. And what I'm saying is like, yes, like these are lovely. It's so lovely to receive them in PR. It's so lovely to use them. They're well designed, they're beautiful, they're functional, but the ones that I already have are just better. And so the fact that they're not crap doesn't mean that I would want to buy them if I were just a regular consumer. And the fact that I love my rephr brushes better doesn't necessarily mean that I don't recommend these, because if you don't have brushes like this and you don't want to buy the ones from rephr if they're too expensive, or if you want, you know, synthetic fibers, then this is a good option. It's like they're living in this in-between space. So my experience of using them is like, oh, I like what I already own better. And that is like basically like the crux of my review. I personally like what I already own better. And I think that loving what you already own and liking it better than lovely stuff that's being made, lovely new functional stuff that's coming out, being able to say to yourself, that's lovely and it's functional and it obviously works well and it's new, which is exciting, but I like what I already own better, right? It's even more empowering to be able to say that in the face of something that's actually really nice than to be able to say it in the face of something that's not nice, that's bad, or that doesn't work well. And you know, I'm actually gonna grab one of my rephr brushes to get the intensity on the outer corner that synthetic brush, in spite of the lovely shape and the lovely soft bristles, it's just not picking up as much pigment as I want. Okay, so now we have that smoky outer corner that comes up high, because I have hooded lids, comes up high above the crease. We have a little bit of that smokiness on the lower lash line from that deep purple. I've been blending out around the edges with this kind of softer brush from the Alter Ego brush collection. And it goes to something very orangey bronze in the center of the lid. I'm just gonna go ahead and reinforce that, maybe actually with a slightly darker, more neutral bronze. And then in the inner corner, I'm gonna place this kind of bronzy red. It's like a bronzy rose. So that's the base of the look. I'm gonna come back later and enhance it with an overlay of something else. But again, like, I love this. I'm so inspired by this color story in a way that I wasn't when the Natasha Denona palette was first released. I really am surprised by how much I love it, because I don't usually like orangey leaning bronzes. I feel like it's more of a copper palette, and the gold palette's more of an actual bronze palette, as we've been discussing recently. But there is just something about it. Like, I really like this look. I like the way that it's curated, and I'm really looking forward to doing more looks with this kind of color story with my singles. So to finish it for now, I'm gonna go ahead and build some darkness into my lower lash line using a kohl pencil, and I'm going to add some mascara. I've actually been testing, this is another thing that I've been testing, the Thrive Cosmetics mascara. My friend Khaki from Khaki Reviews Beauty sent this to me. She wanted to send me her lip liner, which is amazing. It's like my dream milky brown lip. It's so amazing. I'm not gonna use it today because I have another lip agenda, but I am going to put this. The jury is still out on this Thrive Cosmetics mascara for me. I do like that it's tubing. I like a lot of its claims, and I've only used it a couple times, so I'm not really sure how it's going to develop for me, but I will wear it right now for you. My impression so far, oh gosh, I forgot I was gonna come back and do more on my eyes, but it'll be fine. When the mascara dries, it'll be fine. My impression so far about this mascara is that it's a great one for length, but not as much of one for volume. I think that that's where, and I love like really dramatic length and really dramatic volume, so I think that that's kind of like where it's not like ringing all of my bells for now, but it is nice to have, and I'm really excited to be trying it out, and I have been enjoying using it, especially for no makeup days, or like just casual, like non-filming days for me. This is like the blackish brown color rather than being the strong black, which is also really kind of novel for me. I haven't had a brown mascara in a long time. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Thanks, Khaki. And I assume that you guys all follow Khaki already, but you know, I'll link her channel down below just in case. Okay, let's get into this cheek. And I am actually going to replicate what I did last night so you can see the way that this product looks, and you can kind of like see what I was after when I went into my own makeup collection and built on top of it with something else. This is the Jason Wu Opal Stick. It's very fragrant. It smells like vanilla, and it's pretty glittery, actually. I mean, I'm not against glitter, I'm just telling you. So not bad for a subtle like cream sheen of like a blue white. And again, I'm not saying that these are garbage products. Like, you can see that it's doing something. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Am I a robot? I was rooting for us. And I think that this is where I kind of got frustrated and wanted to go into some other products that I already owned. Here's what I did next. I added the Hot Fluff as a cream cheek. And I actually really like this. So this is starting to give me a little bit of purple, right? Do you see that? It's like, but it's not so bruised-like that it looks like I'm bruised. You know what I mean? It's like, it's giving me a different color of blush because it's mixing. And then I was like, this is what I want. You know what I mean? I want like the cheek version of the eye look. But then I kind of got stuck because I was like, here's what was going on. I was like, I want to take some of this gleamy blue stuff up onto my brow. I was like, I want it to be like that C shape. And I also want it to be more illuminated. Like I want it to be really intense and more blue and more otherworldly. But I knew that if I layered this on top of this sort of silicone-y base in it would disturb the color that I already had on my cheeks, and that would kind of keep pushing itself apart and pushing itself apart as opposed to blending. So I had these two products and I was like, should I keep going back and forth? Should I keep putting it on? Should I try to put it on my brow? And eventually I just like gave a deep sigh and reached for my, my JD Glow Galaxy Shadow in Good God. And I was like, this is what I actually want. So there's Good God. It's, you know, it's an eyeshadow, but I, in a frantic moment last night, put it all over my cheeks. And that was the moment when I was like, I have to do this on YouTube. The brush that I was just using to blend out the cream products is one of the Alter Ego brushes, the Alter Ego 4. And when it came time to really do what I wanted on my cheeks, I reached for one of my old standards, one of my old brushes, one of my oldest brushes, the Anastasia A23. And that's really giving me what I was going for. It's also translucent enough that I was able to buff it all over, pretty much all over the eye look. Really bringing that eye look alive. I love to layer. I think with layering in makeup as well as art, like painting and collage and stuff, we're often afraid of it because we're afraid that we're gonna disturb what we already had. We're afraid we're gonna lose what we already had, right? Like you're like, I worked so hard to build this eye look and to put everything in place, and it's like paint by number and everything's perfect, and now I want to layer, I want to bring it alive, but I'm afraid that if I brush over it with something else, it'll all just be like erased. And sometimes it does happen. Sometimes that does happen. Sometimes when you layer, you lose something, but it's a skill, like being able to layer one thing on top of another thing and use it to enhance and like do it without losing what you have underneath. And so you have to just try. It's trial and error, right? You have to practice it over and over again and learn what's going to work for you and what's actually going to like delicately layer without obscuring too much. And I think that once you start really leaning into it and you have some success in it, you find that stuff like this will happen where like, we know how it looked a second ago, right? It looked fine. It was a beautiful eye look, but this has all of those same qualities, and yet it feels so much more blended. It feels like more sophisticated in a way, even though it's a lot more playful because of the blue shine. And that's just from having the bravery to take this highlighting brush loaded with incredibly iridescent multi-dimensional shadow and completely brush it all over the eye look that I had worked so carefully to build before. But you know, if I hadn't spent that time building that look, I wouldn't have this effect now, because the under layers are really important. They're what's making it work the way that it works. All right, my lecture about layering is over. And you can see what I'm talking about, right? That something that I already had gave me this like fierce, intense version of the look that I had envisioned because of using these products that I'm testing. But you know that even though I did use some of the products that I'm testing as the base for this look, you know that I could have gotten the same look using stuff that I already have, right? Like I have cream blushes that would have given me the same effect as this, and I have eyeshadows that would have given me the same base. And needless to say, I'm really feeling myself. I'm living for this look. I cannot stop voguing in the mirror, but I need to move on. Have you noticed that maybe you haven't because I've been like fast forwarding through it, but I'll tell you, I keep having to stop to put my brows back in place. And the brow product, the Jason Wu brow product, it's given them enough grip, like enough waxiness that when I put them back in place, then they'll stay. But if I had used my soap and I had really stuck them down, I wouldn't have to be continuing to do this because the soap would be a strong enough hold that they wouldn't be disturbed at all. So it's, you know, it's like working, but it's not working as well or as permanently as my soap works. Oh, I just realized that I left that plant in the background, that hanging plant. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, let's talk about lips for this look. So obviously during makeup playtime, I was like playing around with all of this stuff on my lips. I was using the Hot Fluff multi-stick, trying it on my eyes, cheeks, and lips. As I said at the beginning of the video, it totally didn't work on the eyes. I mean, it was just like putting a cream lipstick on the eyes. There was no way to blend it without it patching up. It didn't blend easily with my fingers or with a brush, and then it wasn't gonna set. Like, I don't recommend purchasing this Hot Fluff with the expectation that you'll be able to use it as like a monochromatic look on eyes, lips, and cheeks. I think it's just a really nice matte lipstick formula that also is super creamy and blends beautifully on the cheeks, but many lipsticks blend beautifully on the cheeks. It's not to say it's not a nice product. I mean, it's like a nice matte lipstick, and I do think that it would look good with this look, but since two things. One, I already used it on the cheeks, so I already demonstrated it for you today. But two, my real vision for this look is of like a super, super pale lip. And you know my preference for really, really pale washed out lips is to have one that's very, very neutral, gray beige, like almost grungy, grayish almost, but really pale. And I've been like in search of that my whole life. And I've recently made one myself with Finding Ferdinand, and I really, really love that look. But curiously, for this look, I think because of the red in the inner corner, because of that sunset feeling on the eyes and the cheeks, you know what I mean? Like there's this red underneath the blue on the cheeks. Because of that, I actually think a very pale lip that doesn't dominate the eyes or cheeks with color, like with contrast with my skin, but rather sort of blends into my skin, but that retains that like peachy undertone, I actually feel like that's the right choice. And luckily, that is the exact color of these products, this lip combo. So I'll put on the lip liner, which is one of the more impressive Jason Wu products, I would say. As lip liners go, it's like a really solid one. And I've never had a lip liner that's so light. I've never had one that's so much lighter than my lip color. Color-wise, I feel like this is a nice choice for this look. Texture-wise, it's very creamy, it's very lovely. It kind of, I just feel like also visually, it's very KKW. Like, to me, it is exactly what I imagine a KKW lip liner is like. I've never tried one. It has this black cap, which I don't think that hers do. I kind of wish the cap was the color of the product, but it's elegant. The packaging is very elegant of Jason Wu. I'll go over it when I like do the full review after I've thoroughly tested everything. But last night I was then playing with this honey fluff. So it's Hot Fluff and Honey Fluff. This Honey Fluff stuff. It's very wet and creamy and fluffy. It's very thin. It's exactly the same color as the lip liner. The color is Woo Me, and they're both that color, and the name is the same, which is nice because you could like line your lips and then fill them in. It's like a version of the M Cosmetics Infinite Lip Cloud that's a little bit more thin feeling, a little more wet feeling, and then takes longer to kind of become one with your lips. And it doesn't dry down like a liquid lipstick, but it does change over time after you put it on. It becomes a little bit more set, and it feels a little bit less like you're about to wipe it off or disturb it. But when I went in to layer it over the lip liner to like fill in my lips with it, sort of like moved around the lip liner, and it wasn't exactly totally even. And then I did feel like I had to kind of wait for it to set. And the look was beautiful, obviously. You know, it's a lovely product, but it has these things about it that didn't feel totally ideal, and it just felt a little awkward. And I was kind of like, I wonder how different of a color this is from Maybelline Beige Babe, because if I could just fill this in with Maybelline Beige Babe, a bullet lipstick, then that would be perfect. I could just put it on and go, and I know that I really love this formula. Well, I'll show you how similar it is. It's like exactly the same. That's Beige Babe right there on the end. If anything, no, I can't. I mean, maybe Beige Babe is like the tiniest bit more pink. Like maybe you could make that argument, but it's the same color. Like this is a color dupe for Beige Babe, but Beige Babe's also a drugstore product. So it's cool to have a lip liner for Beige Babe. I kind of like that, but I definitely don't need to fill in my lips with this sort of slippy liquid product that you then have to wait for it to dry. That's the same color as this when I already have Beige Babe. I would much rather use this one that I already have. So that's it. That's the look. That's the story about me being inspired to create this look by some makeup that I was testing, but then in the process of creating it, finding out that I already had all of the tools to create this look and I much prefer the tools that I already have. Everything from brushes to, you know, highlighter and eyeshadow to lipstick. And I like this because I think that there's something wonderful about being inspired by what's new on the market. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I love looking at new color stories that makeup artists have come up with and ideas, you know, for mixing colors that I'm getting from seeing what's new and seeing the ways in which things are being combined and new formulas and stuff like that. I think that's absolutely wonderful. But I've been working on, I kind of keep circling back to this idea of detaching inspiration from consumerism and detaching the idea of like creating a certain kind of look from the obsession with the exact products that are being shilled. I think that a lot of times we buy new makeup because it inspires us. And that's fine once in a while. It's wonderful to be inspired. There's nothing, again, inherently wrong with that. But wouldn't it be a shame if the only way to act on inspiration or the only way to get fulfillment from artistic inspiration in terms of like the makeup that we put on our own faces, the only way to do that was to attach it to a purchase? Wouldn't it be a shame if you had to spend money and acquire new stuff on every occasion of inspiration and in order to act on every inspiration? I think that we deserve way, way more inspiration and way more excitement and fun and play than we can afford to buy new stuff. I'm sure that that sentence didn't entirely come together, but you know what I'm saying. Like, if you buy something every time you're inspired, or if you have to buy something to act on your inspiration, then there's one of two outcomes. One is that you spend way, way too much money because inspiration is everywhere and it's wonderful and you love it and you're sensitive to it. You're sensitive to beauty, and so you're constantly inspired. And so you're constantly buying stuff and you're buying like way, way too much stuff and spending way, way too much money. That's option one. Option two is that the occasions on which you allow yourself to really be inspired and excited are few and far between because you're keeping a lid on them because you don't want to buy too much stuff. So you're not really paying attention to what's new. You're not allowing your heart to be open to it. You're not allowing yourself to like feel excited because you believe that that will always lead you to buy something and you know you don't want to spend too much money. So those are the consequences. Those are the two poles. If you are convinced that inspiration and excitement and reinvention of your own makeup look has to go hand in hand with a purchase, I'm telling you that it doesn't have to, and that on the contrary, a lot of times what you already own will not only suffice, but be even better and give you a better result than the new thing that you're kind of thinking about buying because it has inspired you. So that's it. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I really enjoyed doing this look. This is pretty new for me. I don't usually do these kinds of like iridescent soap bubble things, but I'm really into it right now. I can't see myself stopping at this. Something about building that look underneath on my eyes and then sweeping that iridescent eyeshadow all over my eyes and down onto my cheeks has really got me going. I hope that you will comment if you have a comment. I hope that you will like this video with a thumbs up if you liked it. And I hope that you are not forgetting to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.